Won't you please come join me for some midnight therapy? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midnight Therapy. I'm your host, Kat Matthews. Big announcement, we have hit the 50 subscribers goal as of yesterday at 9:30 p.m. Whoever you are, thank you. 50 subscribers. I remember just yesterday, we had like 4. It feels like just yesterday, but we're growing. We're going to double that. We're going to get to 100 and then maybe 10,000 and then maybe 1 million. But all you loyals, you've been here since day one, so thank you. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you for being the audience. For when I talk to the void, sometimes the void looks back. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a very quick episode for you this week. I'm very busy, but I thought I would put this shawl on and do a quick episode. This is helping me concentrate. This is Bush Light Apple. I wasn't really into the flavored beer. I got kind of profiled at the convenience store I went to. You know, I had the cowboy boots on. I rolled up with the loud truck and the bullhorns on the front. And I'm about to buy the Bush Light that I do every week. And as soon as I put just the tip of my card in, he goes, you know, we have Bush Apple. And I went, oh, God. So I had to go back and buy the Bush Apple also. So I bought 2 cases this week. They got me. I wish he told me earlier. It was like a secret he had in the back. It's a hot commodity, I guess. People go nuts over the Bush Apple and the Bush Peach. I love Bush Light. I prefer Bush Light Draft. Then I like the bottle. And then I like the cans. And the cans has hierarchy. A lot of people don't know this. I despise corn can Bush. There is a difference. You could taste the difference. The can with the corn on it tastes horrible. I prefer classic blue can. The best can is the one that says latte, that actually says Bush Latte instead of light. That's rare. That's a good one. Then I like fish can Bush. Any of the fish. It has a trout on it, you know? That's pretty good. And then a regular classic can is fine. But the one with the corn can Bush, horrible. I never would deny a Bush Light, but the corn, I might have to pass if it's corn can Bush. But this is the red apple can Bush, and it's apple, and it's in its own category, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So I had a few drinks last night, and then I had to attend Target with Christy. I had to go to Target after I had dinner and a few drinks. So I was in a mood, you know, because if you're a fan of the show, I don't really like Target. I think it's very pompous. I'm more of a Walmart guy. I'm more of a walk around in your pajamas guy, and the store should smell like onions and there should be yelling in the store. Target's it's like a library. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's wearing clothing that they previously bought at Target. They're kind of nose up in the air, pompous. They're drinking Starbucks. I don't like that. I like somebody at Walmart opening up a Baja Blast and leaving it on the shelf, you know? That's more my speed. But I don't like Target, but I went anyways. And the only good thing about going to like a Target or a Walmart is you get some name brand stuff. Now, I'm an Aldi guy, of course. Shout out to Aldi. I haven't brought them up lately. Still didn't get that sponsorship, by the way, but it's coming. I know it. But no, you can't get like certain things at Aldi. They have, like I said, the fruit rounds and the frosted fakes and stuff like that. They don't have like the name brand. So when I go to a Target or a Walmart, I look for a couple things. And one of the things I look for is the Elf Witch cookies by E.L. Fudge Keebler. Phenomenal. Like probably the best cookie ever. Up there. I'm talking homemade, any type of cookie, chocolate chip, whatever. Your grandma's Italian cookie. E.L. Fudge Elf Witch stuffed fudge in the middle of the 2 wafers that are shaped like the elves. There's nothing better than that. It's always been the best. And they're hard to get. That's why I always check. So like a child, when I go to like a retail store like Target, I will say, oh, can I go check for the cookies? And she goes, yeah, go ahead. And they had them, but here's my problem. This is why it's my little rant here. Do you know they only have the double stuffed EL Fudge Elf Witch Keebler cookies on the shelves? No matter where you go, no, go check, go fact check me. They only have the double stuffed. Now, let's go into some Socratic or Aristotelian logic here and hash this out. If you don't offer the regular stuff, which they don't have the regular stuffed, normal amount of fudge stuffed cookies, like the classics. Like, Oreo has the double stuff, but they also have the regular. Calories are different. The price is different. I want the regular stuff. I prefer the regular stuff. Double stuffed is a bit too much. It's the ratio is off. Too much fudge. You can never have too much fudge, but it's a little much, a little too sugary. Doesn't do the same. Doesn't react the same to when I dunk it in the milk. Anywho, they don't carry the regular stuff, so they're just selling the double stuffed. But my question is, how could it be double stuffed if there is no regular stuff? Wouldn't it just be regular? Wouldn't the double stuff just become the norm if you're not offering a standard model? And of course, I mentioned the double stuff costs more. So I'm not saying for sure, but there may be a lawsuit heading your way, Keebler. Like a little bit of a false advertisement or malicious intent. I don't know. There may be a lawsuit coming to Keebler. We're going to shut that tree down. The elves making the cookies and the fudge in that tree. They sold it. Like the mom and pop is gone. Like the big company, like BlackRock or something, bought the tree and bought the recipe from Mama Elf. And now they're making it in China with formaldehyde and chemicals in it, all the stuff RFK is talking about. And they're only offering double stuff to make people fat and diabetic and to make more money. They completely discontinued the single stuff, and I'm onto it before anyone else. You're hearing it here first. So count your days, possibly, if I feel ambitious enough to file the suit to the Keebler Corporation, which may very well be owned by BlackRock. And I made that up, but I was making an example, a hypothetical. But there's a chance under the giant BlackRock umbrella, Keebler may be under there. And I'll look into that later. And if they do own Keebler, I probably won't sue because I'll probably lose. But maybe I'll see you in court. It is that time of year. It's May. We're in May. It feels great. And the weather is getting nice. And me and Christy always take the dogs on a walk, Tully and Gracie around the neighborhood. We have a route we go. And my favorite night to go is garbage night because you'd be so surprised at what people throw away. Now, I've always been a picker and I grew up kind of poor. So I always, you had to do what you had to do. I used to buy and sell antiques. I used to flip stuff. And I used to always look through garbages or estate sales, yard sales. But if it was out for garbage, wow, you don't even have to pay. Free money. And I made lots of money over the years picking through people's garbage. And I'm not ashamed to say that. So I always check when we go on the walk, and it's fun for me. That's like me going to Target. That's my target. The dump is like my target. Like you'd be surprised what people throw out. They threw out like a big lawn tractor I saw. Someone threw out this painting. It was a free canvas. They threw out meat grinders. I take all of it. I made a lot of money off garbage over the years. Can't really bring as much home now. Christy doesn't like it. But if it's reasonable, I'll take it home. I mean it. And this week, I had to pass up a lot of good stuff. But what I did go back and get was this beautiful wrought iron bench, like a cast iron bench that is now in our front yard. Somebody was throwing it out, and we're going to put plants on it. It's going to look nice. She liked that one. That was we got it. I was going to flip it, but it's whatever. It'll be a lawn ornament. That's fine. But I also I also picked up for free this box that contained all these books that I thought were encyclopedias, which, worthless, but it wasn't. It was the Practical Handyman's Encyclopedia, full set, great condition. I had to take them. And you might be like, why do you want those old books? These books cover everything, like anything a human might do in their life, from farming to engine repair to, milking a cow. It was all in there. And it was crazy, like with pictures and diagrams and schematics. And Christy's like, well, why do you need that? Like, we have the internet. Like, that's all information you could find on the internet. And then I was like, well, what if the grid goes down, or what if there really is a doomsday event, or what if the world ends? Like, no one knows how to do anything. And we all have that mindset. I even agreed with her at first. I'm like, yeah, they're obsolete now. Like, they're not needed. They're useless because I have the internet. We can look anything up. We have ChatGPT. It tells you everything. But what if, I don't know, the internet went down, or all electricity went out on Earth from a solar flare or a nuke or whatever, or an EMP? Nobody would know anything. And I mean this. We would know anything unless you had the handyman's encyclopedia. Like, the house we live in now is the Library of Alexandria. That has the entire collectedness of human progress in it. I have the series. I have the books, the holy books that people would have to come and pay me to make copies of by hand. And we don't even realize it. And the people that threw them out didn't even realize it. And that hit me, that we really don't know anything. We don't know a thing. And we don't value what it meant to actually know something. Like, if you didn't have your phone to look something up, like, remember people knew stuff? They were like aristocrats. They were like highly educated, well-read, attended university. They knew how to spell anything. They knew every war. They could tell you who was in this war and all that. And it's like, why would you learn all that dumb stuff? It's like, I don't know. What if the technology surpasses people? The technology is smart. The people are dumb. And then the technology goes away. Then the people are just dumb. And I think we're getting there. I think we're already there now. We just still have the Chat GPT in our pocket. So it's okay. These are the good times. But once it goes out for whatever reason, there's a myriad of reasons it could go out, then you're going to have to find the one guy in town that has the Practical Handyman's Encyclopedia set, first edition, in a bug out bag. Please refer back to that episode if needed, before the internet goes down and YouTube's down and you can't watch it anymore. You should be taking notes on paper with pen of this show. You should be. I mean that. Speaking of useless information, when I was in college, I did a lot of different things, including it was a certificate of bioethics. I was really into philosophy, and then there was a bioethics certificate you could earn, talking about, like, I don't know, like end of life care and what's murder and what's not. It talked about abortion. It talked about the ethics of life and, like, biology. It was very odd, but I had to write a capstone, and mine was on cognitive enhancement, something they were just touching on at the time many years ago when I was in college. And I talk like that was like 40 years ago. It was like four years ago. But I wrote the paper saying that we shouldn't use methods of cognitive enhancement because there's no way to enhance morality. And we would just make people smarter, but not more moral. And that could be a problem. And that was what I was saying. And then I said that it would lead to segregation. Like, if you had a chip that allowed you to hook up to ChatGPT or any AI for that matter, which they have now, Neuralink, Elon Musk's company, you're going to have the chipped and the enhanced people versus the standard people or the unenhanced. And that's going to create class problems. Like, I don't want my son's teacher to be unchipped, or I don't want my doctor to be unchipped. And then it's going to get into personal freedoms and religious beliefs and all that. And then we're going to kind of force you to get the chip. Like, if you're going to work for our company, we need you to be chipped. We need you to have infinite knowledge. And some people aren't going to do it. They're going to lose their career. They're going to lose their livelihood. But then, like I said, say the scenario happens where everything goes to shit, and you got teenagers saying, "Mom, I want to be chipped," and they're chipped, or you chip your baby, or you chip your kid when he's 5 years old, and all they know is having access to the artificial intelligence. The only people that will be intelligent after the cataclysmic event that takes out the grid will be the people that are unchipped. Isn't that wild? Like, the homeless guy that lost everything. The grid goes out. He's fine. Everybody else has, like, the knowledge of a 5-year-old because they never learned anything on their own because they were chipped. And then he's the smartest guy in the world. How crazy. But it might be happening. It'll be me with my encyclopedias teaching everybody how to do everything again. It's like, here's how you hang a picture frame. And they'll go, ooh, wow, how did you get so smart? You know? So that's, long story short, that's why I took the books from the garbage. That's why I took the musty, stinky books from the garbage. That's why. And I tried to explain that to Christy, and she didn't get it. She probably thinks I'm insane. Maybe I am. I'm a little off, I think. Anyways, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Good movie. Kinda. 20th anniversary. The only reason I bring this up, the movie came out 20 years ago, before George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney and they ruined the whole franchise. This was the last of the prequels. And what I mean by that is Star Wars came out as a standalone film that eventually became episode 4, then they made 5, then they made 6, then they made 1, then they made 2, then they made 3, and then I think they made 7, 8, 9, which were all double flushers. And by double flusher, I mean the shit's so big you have to flush twice. Besides the point, episode 3 was probably the best of the prequels. Oh, not probably, it was the best of the prequels. The prequels were pretty bad, but episode 3 was pretty great. And the only reason I bring it up is it made like $50 million on the re-release. Like, it's a 20-year-old film. It already made all its money. It made all the toys that were sold at that time, and the posters and the merchandise and the cereal with the Star Wars theme. I lived in that era. I was there. I was a kid. I saw it in the theater with Mikey, and I brought a lightsaber in the theater back when you could do that and not get killed. And I threw popcorn at people at the end, and it was funny, and nobody got mad. And there was no cell phones to record it. But the movie already made all its money 20 years ago. Now it made 50 million again. And it's an old movie. They could probably there's so much crap and there's nothing original anymore and everything sucks so bad. You could probably just keep putting old movies in the theater and they'll make like 50 or 100 million. Like re-release Titanic. Do that again. I bet you it'll do better than like Snow White. I mean that. Put Troy or Fury or Gangs of New York or any of these movies back in. Put Rocky 1 back in the theater. It'll probably do great. Ghostbusters, put it back in. It'll probably do better because these kids today only know short form content and crap. They might be like, wow, that's a pretty good movie, you know? Might go viral on the TikTok. Who knows? But yeah, a 20-year-old movie made $50 million at the box office. Pretty wild. Snow White kind of flopped. For the record, that Star Wars movie, the third one, made like almost $1 billion in its lifetime. That's kind of wild for a space soap opera that Star Wars is. I rewatched it. I tried to watch it with Christy because of all this hype, and I didn't have like my pride wouldn't allow me to go pay to watch it in the theater because I know Christy couldn't care less about Star Wars. And no offense out there, but most women don't like Star Wars. It's more of a guy thing, and she was willing to go, but I didn't want to waste either of our time sitting in the theater to watch I knew what I was getting into. I know there's a couple of really good parts of that movie, but a lot of it's a little cringy and a little corny. You know, the acting's really bad in those movies. Hayden Christensen got a lot of flack for his acting in those movies, but after we saw what Disney did recently, they seem like masterpieces, and episode 3 seems like a masterpiece compared to how bad Disney messed up Star Wars. So we're kind of looking at it from a new light now. But when I rewatched it by myself, because Christy fell asleep in the first 10 minutes, I put it on last night, and she was like, oh, wow, R2-D2, and then she fell asleep. So there's that. So I watched it by myself with a couple beers. It was nice. Looking back, I watched it when I was a kid, and I'm watching it now. I see this cool symbolism in the movie, and I think that's George Lucas's genius. The parallels to Macbeth, with the prophecy, let's say the prophecy and the sway to evil that goes on in both Macbeth and Star Wars Episode 3 with Anakin to become Darth Vader, obviously. Ambition to control the uncontrollable was the theme in both Macbeth and Star Wars, which I think is really cool that he tied that in. Macbeth had this prophecy that he'll be king, and he tried to change the factor so that happened in his life. Anakin had a prophecy that his wife was going to die, and he tried everything he could to stop that, and ultimately was the cause of her death. Sorry if I spoiled it, but it's a 20-year-old movie. You should have watched it by now. But it's ironic, I think there's some deeper meaning in Star Wars, at least that one and the old ones. Like the hate that he had becoming Darth Vader. He got trapped in his own prison, which was the suit of suffering, like the breathing apparatus, the respirator, and the robot limbs, and the stupid mask, and never being normal again, and losing everyone around him, and losing his wife, and losing his children. Like that tells you that's what hate does. You know, that's what the dark side does to us. You get blinded by your own ambition. And I thought that was kind of cool. Even though it is a corny space soap opera, there's some interesting stuff going on there. And he lived in that suit of suffering, like I think a lot of us do metaphorically. We don't actually have a suit on like that, but a lot of us live in our own Darth Vader suit of suffering and hate. We just stew in it all the time. And it's funny, the only thing that broke him out of that trap was when he saw what happened to him happening to his own son. And the Emperor tried to pull the same trick on his son in the last movie, and that snapped him out. He's like, no, wait a minute. That's what got me. I'm not letting that happen. And that snapped him out of it after years and years of hate. And it all happened because of an act of humility and an act of compassion. Luke put down the saber and said, I'm not going to kill my father. You know, I'm not going to do that. That snapped him out of it. And that's a lesson for life. That's why these movies stand the test of time. It's not because it's the characters are cool. The characters are cool, but that's not it. It's the story was good and it resonates with us and it's universal. Now, again, corny acting, little nerdy, it's kind of female repellent most of the time. I get it. But if you could find some good in it, like I think Yoda was a great philosopher. You know, he touched on a lot of Buddhist stuff, a lot of Christian stuff, a lot of philosophy in that movie. He says stuff like, well, in all the movies, in all Star Wars, Yoda says like fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. That's real. That's you could think that's a little green midget gremlin, or you could say, wow, that's actually so true because it is. You got fear in your life, that's going to lead to anger always, and anger always leads to hate, and hate leads to ultimate suffering. And you obtain your Vader suit one way or another, and you live in it, and you suffer in it, and you don't let anyone else in, and you only live with hate because hate makes you feel powerful. Because hate is powerful. The dark side is very powerful, and it's instant gratification. Now, whatever you want to call the dark side, like if you kill or hurt or fuck somebody over, or I don't know, let your anger take over you and burst out, that'll feel real good in the moment. Or punch something, like people punch walls because it feels good in the moment, but it doesn't do anything, and it just leaves you the one hurt. And I think Star Wars teaches that lesson, oddly enough. This space soap opera teaches a lot of good lessons. Yoda also says, let go of everything you fear to lose. It's very true. Fear of loss is a crazy thing that affects us all, whether it be your relationship or your money or your health or whatever. You can't hang on to these things. It's just a state. It just is what it is. You can never keep something around forever. Even the person you love the most, your partner, your parents, your dog, they're going to leave you one day. And if you fear that, then you're going to eventually end up in suffering. Fear ultimately gets to suffering. Attachment. Yoda touches on this too. Yoda is like a prophet a little bit. Attachment leads to jealousy, and jealousy is the shadow of greed. How real is that? How real is that? Attachment really does lead to jealousy. And in jealousy, I can't think of a better way to describe it other than the shadow of greed. You know, just always wanting more, wanting what you can't have. I think you could learn a lot from Star Wars if you watch it close. I think anything in life could teach you a great deal if you're willing and open and you have a mind that is a critically thinking, open mind. You could learn a great deal from anything, from nature, from listening to people talk, from reading. You know, if not, you're just sitting there and just killing time. I get that. And watching the lightsabers, you know, that's cool too. But I encourage you all to look deeper into everything, and you may find more meaning in things that you might not have previously thought even had deeper meaning, like this show. This is midnight therapy, after all. Big thing with Star Wars is um, the Force, they just use the word the Force. That really means like God. That's what we call God in this universe, this galaxy far, far away. God is like the Force, even in this life here. It's outside of time, space, matter, and energy, and it is a force that has negative and positive attributes to it. And it flows through all of us, some of us more, you know. Some of us have a better connection to it. Some of us don't have it at all. Force is real. Like, may the force be with you. Like, may God be with you. Like, that's, it's synonymous. Same thing. Same thing. And May 4th, this episode will come out May 4th. That's Star Wars Day, ironic. So that's why I went on a little Star Wars rant for you. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I listened to a great Joe Rogan the other day. It was a new one. It was about, what's his name? Hal Puthoff? Puthoff. Like the barber. Hal Puthoff. He's a physicist. It was very interesting. And it talked about remote viewing. This guy was part of the remote viewing department that worked with the CIA back in the day. And the guy pretty much confirmed that remote viewing and mystics and psychics are very real, and our government has been utilizing them for a very long time. So that Ark of the Covenant paper got everybody talking, the CIA documents that came out. Well, that's all real. And this guy did a 3-hour interview explaining it all with facts and credentials. The guy's a brilliant physicist and confirmed that we have alien craft and we've been remote viewing and we found things with remote viewing and there has been programs and a lot of hidden history. And that's coming out now. That's the trend. A lot of hidden history coming out that some people are just waking up to. I have 2 sarcophagus in here for a reason because I know the hidden history of Egypt and I know that all the Freemasons and the Romans that started the big empires on Earth in this timeline or in this reset era were obsessed with the ancient Egyptians for good reason. That's why George Washington's monument is an obelisk. That's why the back of your dollar bill that has Washington on it has a pyramid with an all-seeing eye that says, "He, the great architect, favors our endeavors and New World Order." It's all in plain sight if you know where to look. So all this hidden history coming out in the mainstream media and on Rogan and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's about time. But I knew about it for a while, so nothing really shocks me. Doesn't really shock me. I'm like, of course there's remote viewers. All that stuff like Book of Enoch and all that weird stuff you thought was fairy tales. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe dragons were real. Like I said last episode, maybe St. George really did kill the dragon. And speaking of that, shameless plug, just finished up my new illustrations for the Race of the Saints. I have a new St. George without the dragon. I want to keep it more, to the Race of the Saints tradition. And I made Anthony and, of course, Ubaldo. They are selling like crazy. If you want one, let me know. $20 signed and framed. Limited quantity. So let me know ASAP. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But what do we know? We don't know anything. We do not know anything. But if you have time, check out that Joe Rogan. It was really cool, interesting stuff. They talked about levitating saints. I guess there was these like priests back in the day that would levitate. And there's like several accounts of all these priests that levitated. And he claims that there's like some literature on how that's possible. And our government knew of it and studied it and used it. And I don't know, like this, it sounds like fantasy, but it's not. What do we know? I read another cool thing on the theme of saints keep coming up. But I read this thing about Saint Longinus. That sounds funny almost. Longinus. Look him up. But this guy was the Roman soldier that stabbed Christ to verify he was dead when he was hanging on the cross. Now, I don't know if you read this in the Gospels or know this, but Jesus was hanging there. They wanted it to end quick. They kicked out or broke out the footrest that allows you to breathe when you're crucified. And then to verify he was dead, someone stabbed him. And it was this guy, this Longinus guy, a Roman soldier, stabbed him with the spear that we call the Spear of Destiny now. That's a relic that's very sought after. I brought this up before. Hitler wanted it. We wanted it. Everybody wanted it. It's an artifact. It's an icon. It's a relic that 3 people or 3 entities claim they have right now, that they have that spear tip somewhere. Who knows? Anyway, Spear of Destiny, big thing. But this guy, Longinus, stabs Christ in the side to make sure he's dead, and water and blood spray out. Now, Longinus had bad vision. And when the water and blood got on his face after he stabbed Christ, his sight came back miraculously, and he immediately became like a follower and an apostle of Christ and started spreading Christianity, early Christianity, all over Rome. And when the Romans found out about this, it was blasphemous against their, you know, their gods, their polytheistic gods, the pagan worshipped gods. So they ended up gouging his eyeballs out. They're like, well, if this guy gave you the sight back, we're going to take your sight away. And then this guy continued to preach blind. And then after that, they called him in, and they ended up ultimately beheading this guy for spreading the word of Christ. And there's a lot of stories like this. Like all the apostles died in terrible ways, like crucified upside down, crucified on an X, beaten, tortured. Like this is all documented in many different sources. So my only question is like, if this was all made up, like some people would insinuate, ask yourself this. Don't look for facts or evidence or blah, blah, blah. Just ask you anecdotally, why would someone die for a lie? Like, would you die for something you just like made up? I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't. You know, I wouldn't even put my reputation on the line for something I didn't believe in. But would you die willingly, a horrible death, to keep up this lie? For what cause? Like, what would it do for you to do that? I don't know. But theme of the episode, I guess, is would we really die for a lie? I don't think so. I don't know. And if you have a thought, please comment. Let me know. This is a open floor. We can have a debate. Please give me something to do. Yeah, very interesting. I'm going to do a quick news recap here. We're all over the place today with this episode. But I had to touch on a few stories. Like I said, this is not a news show. I am not a journalist. I'm also not a licensed therapist. I'm just a cowboy in the basement, wink. But I saw that this dime truck spilt over $80,000 of dimes, like fell everywhere. Like this truck crashed, like a big tractor trailer crashed, carrying all these dimes. Like, first of all, why are you carrying all those dimes? Why is there only dimes on the truck? What are you doing with all those dimes? And they went everywhere. You're never going to find all those dimes. And can they stop me from going and picking some up? Can they? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's my right to go. Like, finders keepers. It's on the ground. It's mine. But then, like, how much money do you think I could make? I mean, every 10 dimes is a dollar. I mean, I could probably make a lot of money. But then how would you carry them? They'd get quite heavy. You know, if you got to like $100, that's a lot. Would it be worth your time to go pick up all those dimes? I don't know. But I thought about it. If it was closer by, I would have, I don't know. I'd try to get a couple, at least $50. Bring a backpack. That's something you don't hear every day. There was this Falcons draft situation. I don't know if you saw this with football or whatever. The coach's son prank called this guy and said he got picked, and it was a prank call. And now they're like fined like $100,000 over a prank call. Can you be fined for a prank call? Like, what is that? Punitive damages? Like, that you like hurt my feelings? I don't know. We used to prank call all the time. Like, was I really messing with the lawsuit there? I once called an art teacher and said, and the husband picked up, and I was like, we know about the stolen art supplies. And he like put her on. She was all frantic. Could I have been sued? Could I have been sued for that? I don't know. I used to prank call Domino's all the time. Me and my friends. We'd order like a burger or something. I don't know. I had no idea I was messing with charges in a lawsuit. That's crazy. But like $100,000 over a prank call? Who cares? I don't know. I don't know. I guess you could sue for anything now. Another big story here. This white mother in a park. Did you see this? Apparently called a kid the N-word. And this guy was filming her saying, "Did you just do it?" And then she called the man filming the N-word And it is a viral video, getting people doing something stupid. It happens. But the only thing different is this woman's GoFundMe. What's up with these GoFundMes? Like we talked about the teenager that stabbed the other teenager, and the one that stabbed has a GoFundMe that's like $500,000. Like, I don't get that. This woman has like $500,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars because she said the N-word at a park. And it said, help protect my family. And people are just giving money to her. I mean, can I get some money? I didn't stab anyone, and I never called anyone the N-word. Where's my money? I'm trying to do a show here with no budget. I can barely afford a Busch Light apple. But like, I mean, are we better off to stab people and call them slurs? Like, will more money fall into your lap if you do that? Stab and slur. I don't know. What's going on? Why are they getting money? Why am I not getting money? Why can't I afford a car? Still driving my bullhorn truck around that's 26 years old and breaks down every other day. That annoys me. Keebler Elf, might have to sue you. I need money. And I'm not going to stab anyone. I'm not going to call anybody a name. So I'm running out of options. Either get the single, original, regular stuff cookies back on the shelf, or I have to sue you to get by and pay for my family. Support my family. You know what I'm saying? We're at 50 subscribers. Let's grow this channel even bigger. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get a GoFundMe going. Help Cat Matthews make Midnight Therapy even bigger than it is. As always, this show is brought to you in part by Jack's Pub and Eatery and Three Saints Barbershop, located in historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania. Mike the Barber. Been hanging out with him a lot lately. A lot of fun stories, a lot of fun topics talked about. We're going to get him back on. We need him back on. Mike's always up at night like I am, and like it'll be the middle of the night and I'll get a message. It'll be like flat earth conspiracy, and I'll watch the whole thing. And we need to discuss it together in front of you. He rebuttals a lot of my points, but he needs to be here to do it live. I'm sure he would have some excuse about the Keebler, even though it's inexcusable. He'd probably defend them. He's like that. He's like a devil's advocate guy. Tries to defend the undefendable, and I like that. It's admirable. But Keebler went too far this time. As always, I'll be back next week. Hope this episode satisfies your hunger for the Cat Matthews. Stay curious, my friends. Good night.